Kimberly here. Thank you for coming to my channel. Haven't made a video in a long time. Been super busy. But I wanted to kind of elaborate a little bit on my DNA story that I did. I had talked about how there were stories in my family about Native American ancestry, which when I took the DNA test, it didn't show any evidence of DNA or Native American DNA or any history that I could actually pinpoint. Like, I thought it might be less than 1%, which is like a very that would have to be like a great-great-grandfather, a great-grandmother. It'd have to be several generations back. And it didn't come up. There are parts of your DNA when they test it that may not, that actually all of your DNA does not get tested. So there's little tiny snippets that could be less than 1%, which it could be in that, but since they didn't notate it, they didn't test it, then that is the reason why I'm not taking that as part of my DNA ancestry. I'm just going to go by the results that I got on the test. And some of the stories that I was told are confusing, so I'm just going to leave it at that. And I just don't know what to think about. I had told a story where my grandmother told me this story like over 40 years ago. I would say maybe probably like 45 years ago or something. I can't really remember. It was a long, long time ago. I was like probably under 10 or 12 years old. So it was a long time ago, and it was about a family that got into like an argument or something. I can't really remember why, but they moved away from the grandfather, and the grandfather decided that he wanted to see the baby, and they somehow got word of it or something like that, and they had to cross a river, and I believe I really can't remember the story now. It's been so long, but I want to say that the grandfather died, drowned, trying to get to see the baby. But I don't know, that's the story my grandmother told me. Like, probably 20 something years ago, later, I was looking on Ancestry DNA, and I found that story, the same exact story, from another distant relative that I did not know, never heard of, but is genetically related to me. I didn't know that at the time, but I know it now. And they told the same story. So that is what I took as truth, that I was part Native American. So I don't know what to say about that. I mean, it's confusing to me. But again, sometimes when they're testing the DNA, it takes the way, I'm not explaining it right, but there's a scientific way that they can do it where they can test every little bit of your DNA. And it takes weeks or months. It's a very elongated process, and it takes a lot of testing, and it would be very expensive, be like so much lab time. It would run into thousands of dollars to do that. And they only do that for anthropological reasons, for anthropology type of digs that they find, and they want to know about, I don't know, some 10,000-year-old bones or skeletons that they find. So the normal DNA testing that you get is not going to be quite that extensive. So when you do get those DNA tests that you order through the mail, that you spit into a tube, where you do the cheek swab, it's not going to be that, that pinpointed, directly to what group that you may have descended from or something like that. It's not going to be that detailed. So there are little bits and pieces that they do not test in your DNA. But the majority of what I got, I was shocked at the the largest number was Norwegian. I think it was 39%. So when I told my sisters about that, we decided that we would probably plan a trip to Norway and travel through Sweden or just around that area, and then go over maybe to England and Wales, Scotland, all that, because there was, I believe, English, Scottish, Welsh, I can't really remember all of it, but oh, Ireland was, I think, 3%, which I thought would be the biggest percentage of my DNA, but it turned out to be the smallest amount. So it was a little shocking. And I also, on my TikTok, I did a Viking makeup. They have these different types of things you can do on TikTok with the filters and all, and they had a Viking filter, and it had Viking makeup around my eyes and nose, and then it had like a line going down my chin. And I had the video up for, I don't know, a few days, I think. And then I was looking for other Viking type of details or something. I just wanted to know more about it. And I saw several Native American and Canadian native type of tribes that had that were very upset that people were using the line down the chin right here. It was like one line. And I think some of them were like one line with dots or lines going horizontal or something like that. But I went ahead and took it down to be respectful to the native tribes that were complaining about people stealing the cultural significance of that line, that it meant nothing to us, but yet it meant something to them. It was very either through religious meaning or just the meaning in their ancestry, that it meant something. I don't know what it really meant, but she didn't go into detail, but it was, significance to them. And so I took it down because I didn't want to be disrespectful. And I really don't think it had any true Viking meaning or anything like that. So there are different things that different cultures do that may be similar or alike. And it's kind of hard to say you appropriated that, especially when there's no exact pinpoint, or if there are no pictures. There are some historical pictures of native tribes with their markings and tattoos and stuff like that. So that can be documented a lot. And especially if tribes are using them, the markings or something, certain makeup or markings or hairstyles, dress, something like that. If it's been carried down after generation, and they use it in, I don't know, powwows or other, where a lot of people can see it, or it's documented and they can see it, from tribe to tribe, what their markings are, what they mean, and who uses what tribe uses what marking, what it means to them, or whatever. That way it can be easily documented if it's done like that. But there's a lot of stuff that throughout, history from hundreds or thousands of years ago, there's no photographic evidence. There's no, not any real way to tell it other than it being passed down from generation to generation to generation. So with that line, with enough people from enough tribes talking about it, I truly believe it was something, of great importance to them and meaning. So I just took that video down, and maybe I'll do another Viking. I was just doing it for fun because I had found out about the Norwegian ancestry, and I wanted to, I don't know, I just wanted to know more about it. And I saw the filter and I thought, oh, that was so neat. And I didn't even know there was that side of TikTok. I had no idea, no clue. So I took that down. I might maybe do more research and maybe do something, I don't know, something different. But in the future, yeah, me and my sisters are going to try to travel to Norway. And if we do, it'll be like in years, like maybe when I retire or something like that. And we want to make it like a long trip, going all through Norway, and then maybe going, like I say, to England, the UK, and then maybe going even to other places. Maybe when we're around that area, maybe hopping over to France or something, going through that way, just visiting countries that we always wanted to visit or something like that. So, but that will be years and years from now. But if I still have my channel, then I'm going to document it, put it on my channel. I think it would be fun. But that's the most that I can say about the DNA, as far as it is fairly accurate, and I believe in it. It's a very, accurate science, but there is some parts that might be missing from your DNA testing, because they don't do 100% of every aspect of your DNA. I mean, it would be a very expensive type of testing, and plus they don't have enough people that are sending in their DNA to have a very absolute 100%, this is exactly where you came from. They have more and more people turning in their DNA, and they're able to assess more and more, information, and get that into the maps that they make, and just the regions of where people may be traveling to and from, moving to and from throughout the generations, and with historical knowledge of, where the Vikings may have traveled, or where Spaniards may have traveled, or where, other cultures may have traveled throughout the world, making different visits to every country, possibly. There could be a little bit of DNA from this culture in this country, even though it may not be settled. Maybe that culture did not settle in that country. They may have been there at an early time and left, which means they could have brought other people back to their native country, which that actually happened in England, where there were a lot of English people that were, well, not a lot. I mean, there was an unusual anomaly of Native American ancestry showing up in a lot of English people. A lot, I keep using that word. A certain amount of English people, and there's no Native Americans in England that originated in that country. But they were brought back on ships hundreds of years ago, and they intermingled with some people, and now there is certain families with Native American DNA in them in England. So sometimes things like that happen. They didn't make a settlement of Native Americans in England, but there are English families that, after years of, having children, that the generations grew and grew, that there's more people with DNA from Native Americans in England. And it's so odd, but they figured it out that they were coming through, some of the travels that some of the Native Americans did make for short periods of time, that came to England for some specific reason, and they intermingled and left their descendants in that country. Okay, thank you all, and I will get back and make another video. Thank you.